Episode 267, Down the Rabbit Hole. Julianne cried out loud with excitement, stood up, patted the sand off her body, and ran towards the little boy next to the big tree. The little boy's facial features were exquisite, and his dark hair was slightly curly. His skin was perfect, and he simply looked flawless. Wearing a cobalt blue short-sleeved shirt and a pair of shorts, he looked very handsome. Jeremy was holding a copy of a children's book, turning his head from time to time to watch his little sister, for the fear that she would run away. At this moment, hearing the teacher's words, he closed the book and stood up from under the tree. Julianne ran over. Her two hands were about to touch Jeremy when he shunned her in a vigilant manner with the book in his hand, and said a bit disgustedly, "Dirty! Don't touch me!" "Jeremy is bad! He's saying I'm dirty!" Julianne grunted and stomped her foot. She turned around to wash her hands. "I will tell Mother that you not only said that I was a fool, but you also said I'm dirty. Then see, Mommy will teach you a lesson and stop showing you Father's pictures." Jeremy did not want to pay her any mind, took the book in his hand, and waited for her to wash her hands. And then they went to the classroom to pick up their small school bags and go to the kindergarten gate. However, they did not see the figure of Serena. "Mom?" Julianne carried her school backpack and looked around at the entrance of the kindergarten. There was no sign of Serena. Just when she looked to the left side, a fluffy white rabbit was squatting there, looking at her with red eyes. Little Julianne's eyes lit up and she walked towards the small white rabbit. But the rabbit was afraid of people. When it saw her approaching, it turned and ran. Julianne jumped to catch up with it and shouted, "Wait, Bunny, don't run!" Jeremy was waiting for their mother's car, looking around for it, when he heard Julianne's voice, who had already run towards the bunny. "Julianne, don't run around. Mother hasn't come yet." Jeremy yelled, but Julianne acted as if she did not hear him, and soon turned into a corner. It was a small alley near the kindergarten garden and teacher's dormitory. Jeremy instantly had a bad feeling. He chased her with a school bag, but when he ran over, he saw a strange man standing there, wearing a cap and a mask on his face. Jeremy saw, paused, and looked behind the man, but he did not find his sister's figure. "Are you looking for your younger sister?" The man suddenly spoke and smiled. Jeremy felt that something was wrong and that he should go back, but the man suddenly came forward to pick him up, covered his mouth, and crawled into the bush. Jeremy widened his eyes. There turned out to be a hole in the bush. After the man got through the bush with him in hand, they went out of the wall of the kindergarten and then took him into a silver gray van. As soon as he got into the van, Jeremy saw Julianne holding a little rabbit in her arms. But when she saw him, she smiled sweetly. There were two small dimples on her face. "Brother, look! Bunny!" Jeremy looked at her and suddenly felt a headache. This girl had no idea that she had been caught by the bad guys? Still playing with the bunny? This was not the first time he felt like the hospital must have made a mistake. This could not be his sister. Otherwise, how could the gap between their IQ be so big? Looking at the men who had just caught them, Jeremy was panicking, but his face looked calm, and he asked, "What do you want?" Jeremy's mature attitude greatly exceeded the man's expectations. He had assumed that he too must be as gullible as the girl, but now it seemed they were very different. Pushing him in, he said softly, "Be good and I will call your mother to pick you up now." During that conversation, Jeremy clearly saw that this man had picked up a business card and a mobile phone. The business card on a black background looked extremely familiar. Jeremy saw the man throwing his business card and mobile phone into the front seat of the car. Sitting in the passenger seat was a beautiful woman. She was wearing heavy makeup and her perfume had a strong smell. Beside her was a young man whose hair was dyed colorfully. The car was started and slowly moved forward. When the pretty woman took the phone, she began to dial a number. The man took 2 white ropes out of the small pocket in front. Jeremy saw this and looked upset. He pursed his lips and said, "Jules?" "Ah?" Julianne, who was caressing the bunny, looked up at Jeremy, not knowing what had happened. "Do you know what you did?" After Jeremy had finished speaking, he was lifted by the man by his 2 small arms. "When are you going to let us go?" Jeremy asked, a bit pale. He knew he was kidnapped, but he couldn't panic. His younger sister knew nothing, and he must protect her. When the man heard this, the smile on his face deepened and his voice was very gentle. He said, "Just be good. Uncle will buy you candies later. Now, Uncle won't hit you or scold you. When your mother comes to get you, I will let you go with her, okay?"
"Okay,"
Julianne's sweet voice responded.
"Uncle, I like cotton candy."
"Well, Uncle will buy you cotton candy. What does the little guy like to eat?" Jeremy did not want to pay attention to him. His pair of small hands had been tied behind him, hidden under a school bag. The woman in front had dialed Serena's number. She stretched and said, "President Robinson, remember me? Last time we met at the opening ceremony of the Butler Farms project, you rewarded me with an admission ticket, remember?" Serena was holding her mobile phone, standing in the kindergarten. Several teachers lined up under Vanessa's threat. They were so terrified that they did not dare to even breathe. And just beside Vanessa, a beautiful little boy was sobbing. Dark brown hair, deep-set features, a pair of blue eyes filled with tears. He was grabbing Vanessa's shirt, crying and apologizing.
"I'm sorry, so sorry. I did not lose young master and the little princess on purpose."
Serena looked at the little guy, reached out and rubbed his hair, and said to the person on the phone, "I do not remember. What do you want?" On the opening ceremony, she personally gave away hundreds of tickets. How could she remember the faces of each of them? The woman seemed to have expected that. "It's only normal that you don't remember. I'm looking for you this time only to tell you that your son and daughter are in my hands. Recently, money has been a little tight, and I want to borrow some from you. Your kids are absolutely fine, and I've done nothing to them. But if you dare to call the police, then it will be another matter. How much do you want?" Serena's voice was very calm, exhibiting her presidential aura. Not much. 10 million cash. To the 3rd floor of the Cosmo Plaza. I will give you an hour. 10 million in cash within 1 hour should not be no problem for President Serena Robinson, right?"